Hey guys, what's up? This is Teddy Macedo, aka bearRimshot's speaking. And guess what? My dream has finally came true! But that's another story for another day. But anyways, today I'm going to be sharing guys what are my thoughts on MAGFest 2019. Okay then. During the time when I went to MAGFest, I actually had a lot of fun being in there. And when speaking about during my meal times, I was able to enjoy my meals independently. Another thing that also happened is I bet you're all wondering what games did I get to play this year. Now, one game I did get to play includes Final Fantasy VII. If I had a favorite Final Fantasy game in the series, it would have to be Final Fantasy game in the series would be Final Fantasy VII. You know why is that? Not only is it fun to play, but also it features a certain character who later on eventually became such a major crossover icon in the form of Cloud, who would not only regularly appear in Kingdom Hearts games, but also in Super Smash Bros. As well. You know, and you guys could see why Toucan LDM would never make an unexpected video on Cloud, in the veins of, say, Bayonetta, Ridley, or Piranha Plant, or even Joker of all people. Considering the fact, when addressing those, because when comparing Cloud to characters like Bayonetta, Villager, Isabelle, Piranha Plant, and Joker, Cloud would be much more likelier compared to them. Here I am again. Okay, anyways, yeah. Another game I also played would be, also got to play, Mario Superstars Baseball. And also, another game I also got to play, would be, Star Wars Battle Pod. Also, another interesting thing that also happened this year at MAGFest would be in regards to you guys may be wondering, and also another game I also played would be Wolfenstein 3D. However, I bet you're all wondering whether or not I went to any panels this year. In all honesty, yes, I did. One, actually. I went to one that's ran by two wonderful women who work for PBS Kids, And one interesting thing I did hear the folks at PBS Kids talk about would be the fact that, that, how can I put this? Alright, that when they do shows like The Cat and That Knows a Lot About That, for example, they try to make sure that it's welcoming to people of all different kinds, including color, skin, and religion, which I find to be really, really nice because, something that bugs me about cartoons in general is when addressing the December holidays, most cartoons that you can find, even on PBS Kids, do get Christmas episodes or specials, but no Hanukkah, And when addressing something like The Cat That Knows a Lot About That, for example, we did get to see The Cat That celebrate Halloween. We got to see The Cat That celebrate Christmas. It would be really, really nice if you could celebrate not just including holidays like Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day, or Easter, but also, of course, Hanukkah. And it's just sad to see that not a lot of cartoons. Not a lot of major cartoon characters get to celebrate Hanukkah in the level of Christmas. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Christmas, don't get me wrong, I still love Christmas the way it is, but still, Hanukkah deserves as equally much love as, say, Christmas, you know? Because when it comes to Hanukkah, there's a lot of cool stuff that happens. Not only do you get a days of presents, but also you get to enjoy eating latkes, eating donuts, jelly donuts, as well as you even get to play dreidel as well as enjoy some good old chocolate gelt, you know? There's a lot of interesting stuff that can happen on Hanukkah, say Christmas. Don't get me wrong, Christmas, I still love you the way you are. I'm just saying Hanukkah just needs as much love as Christmas. Just saying, you know? That's what I would do if I were to make my own cartoon series, you know? I'd be sure to make not just Christmas episodes, but also hopefully Hanukkah as well. And I'm not sure whether you guys do not remember, I did consider making a web show based off of Battle of the Groups. However, I did decide to bring it back to life, and instead, I would make sure that when making episodes of the web show incarnation of Battle of the Groups, when making Battle of the Groups a series, to make sure that I'd be retelling a lot of already existing stories featuring any group leaders, as well as telling certain new stories, you know? And, yeah, and also another thing that interesting happened, well, I did speak up for them to get into things like the Toys to Life video game business, for example, you know? And they actually loved my idea a lot, you know, because when it comes to Toys to Life video games in general, especially when we speak about the figure side of things, it's not actually every day that you guys get to see any early childhood-oriented characters and get Toys to Life figures, you know? And once again, how can I put this? Oh, right. Well, once again, Azuchi Guardian lied, you know? Of course, this wasn't the first time I personally felt like talking about stuff like this at a convention. For those who haven't seen my latest New York Comic Con vlog, I did mention that when I ran by the folks at Funko, I suggested to them many times I've been pleading Funko to get into the Toys to Life video game business, because, let's be honest here, that there are a lot of mistakes that have been made in games like Disney Infinity and like the Dimensions I could have learned from. I mean, lots of mistakes, you know? That's why I strongly have great faith in Funko in making a good Toys to Life video game that people of all ages and all genders will likely enjoy, you know? And, yeah, you know? And I'm still waiting for the entire Living Book Seuss trilogy to be re-released as wonderful titles, you know? Considering of how, yeah, they're great to play, and they're fun to play, you know? Also, another thing that happened, now, when it comes to going out to certain restaurants nearby MAGFest, I would like to say that, there is actually this pizza place nearby MAGFest I've been to a few times. I actually liked it. Surely it may not top the charm that what over in New York has to offer, but I will say this: if you like New York pizza at best, then you guys definitely enjoy this pizzeria that's nearby where MAGFest is located at. It's National Harbor, you know? Definitely better than Chicago, if you ask me, you know? But, yeah. And, and another thing also happened. I got to play the Simpsons arcade game. And, I believe I may have Skype chat with Nicholas Centra. Don't quote me, I'm just saying, but yeah. And, once again, just like every other year when I'm at MAGFest, I always pass by some really interesting, talented musicians, you know? And, I also, yes, I did eat some candy. I know you should be eating healthy, but yeah, it's true. Also, another interesting thing that happened at MAGFest this year, I also enjoyed, how can and I also went by to this local orchestra. I talked to them about how that I'd love to help arrange music whenever I feel like it. And I have ideas of songs I'd love to arrange for which music groups exactly. And yeah. Also, I also played. Speaking of Final Fantasy, I played another Final Fantasy game. I believe it's 6. Don't quote on me, but it was on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. It was fine. I liked it, though I prefer Final Fantasy 7. You know, more for its popularity. You know, and the fact that it would feature this one character in the form of Cloud, who would go become such a major crossover icon. You know, and um, yeah. Overall, when I went to MAGFest this year, I had another nice time being there. However, before I can close off this video on a positive note, there is something else that needs to be addressed in this one. Oh yes, people, I am going there this time. Here we go. Okay. Ever since when 2018 began, I've been personally, or should I say, regularly getting messages as well as comments from several people whose names I'm not going to mention. Anyways, I've been getting comments and messages from several people, including friends whose names I'm not going to mention, who would be telling me about this video I actually got to appear in. For those who don't know what the fridge I'm talking about, I'm going to show you all what the fridge I'm talking about. Okay. It is. No. Here we go. Does this video I'm talking about look actually familiar? Hmm. And yes, that is the reason. And yes, people, I brought that up on purpose. The only reason why I did so is because ever since 2018 has begun, I've been getting a lot of messages slash comments about that video. That's why I felt like bringing that up to you. Now, looking back at that moment, at that particular MAGFest moment I had, well, Yeah. While I still do love watching animation look back, even up to this day, however, you may be thinking that animation look back, as well as things like the Epic Mickey Files and Fantasy Movie Memories, are the only shows that I watch where I can research certain facts. Actually, there's more that meets the eye. There are other sources I use to learn about facts of certain movies, TV shows, games, or whatever, including 107 Facts. It's a shame that Channel Refrigerator hasn't been doing much of that anymore. I find that really, really interesting. However, lately I have been watching a lot of Did You Know Gaming, as well as its sister series, Did You Know Movies and Did You Know Food, as well as Source Gaming, as well as Censored Gaming. Yeah, there's a lot of places where I do research, As in regards with Star versus the Force of Evil, I'm gonna be honest with you guys on my thoughts on the show, I mean, looking back at it, from what I've seen, it's not a bad show, I will admit. It's just that when addressing a show like Star vs. The Force of Evil, for me personally, it's just not my cup of tea. And here's why that is. Well, when addressing a show like Star vs. The Force of Evil, this is a girls' show we're talking about. And also, yeah, when it comes to Star vs. The Force of Evil, I find that show too girly for me personally. Sure, I would watch Kim Possible whenever I feel like it, but here's the thing about Kim Possible. At least with Kim Possible, this is a family show we're talking about. Whereas addressing Star vs. The Force of Evil, on the other hand, this is a girls' show. And at the time when I personally had to point out that, when I personally had to point out that, when I claimed that. Now, the reason why I personally did claim a show like Star vs. Force of Evil to be overrated, in my opinion, would all come down to the fact not only is it too girly for me personally, but also do I find it too girly, but also it's trying to be this one TV show where demographically, if you're into things like as girly as, say, My Little Pony, Hello Kitty, or Barbie, and yes, even Bratz of all things, then a show like Star vs. The Force of Evil will most likely be for you. Otherwise, if you don't like girly stuff like My Little Pony or Barbie or Hello Kitty, then the show is not for you. And yeah, I know I've been very harsh about My Little Pony in the past, but after having some discussion with some fans, some really big fans of mine in regards to My Little Pony, my crossover projects, I come to realize that maybe the idea of including My Little Pony characters, or just let alone anything that's meant to appeal to a more girly audience or a preschool audience in my crossover projects, is not a bad idea after all. Which could explain why, for my first ever annual viewership for Steamed Hams, I did actually allow you guys to vote for My Little Pony. However, I'm really, really surprised that the majority of you actually voted for My Little Pony, considering of how, And, anything else I forgot to talk about? But by the way, another thing I also want to mention before I leave is when I participated in this PBS Kids based panel, the ladies in charge of the panel told me did also get to mention about of how did also get to mention about of how whatchamacallit, oh right, they I did recently learn that PBS Kids themselves, unlike a company like Disney, PBS Kids is actually open for suggestions in general, which I really am happy to hear, considering how I even told those ladies that PBS Kids actually does show things at the Alamo Draft, my favorite movie theater, the Alamo Draft House, including my local one in Yonkers, you know. And, you know, there are some shows, PBS Kids shows, I'd love to see at my local Alamo. Of course, there's Arthur. There's Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood I like. Then there's also The Cat That Knows a Lot About That. You say what you guys want about The Cat That Knows a Lot About That. I actually find that show to be fun to watch. The animation looks like as if Dr. Seuss himself would have drawn it. And I really liked Martin Short's performance as the Cat in the Hat, in all honesty. And if I had a favorite episode of The Cat That Knows a Lot About That, it would be the chocolate episode, you know. Being that I love chocolate, you know. And, and of course, let's not forget about Sesame Street of all tunes. Because when it comes to Sesame Street, yeah, while it may be true that HBO also has access to all things Sesame Street, but keep in mind, PBS Kids still has all the rights to Sesame Street, you know? And if you guys don't believe me, go on the go on the Sesame Street website, and you guys will see that PBS Kids still has rights to Sesame Street, even up to this day, you know? Even if HBO does have the capability of doing things with Sesame Street if they wanted to. And that's pretty much it. I know it's shorter than usual, but yes, I'll see you guys in the next upload. And one more thing I like to mention is, if I can be very honest on what's taking me so long with this Team Ham's My Little Pony dub of mine to be made, now don't take it on me personally, but rather this person who not only creates My Little Pony projects of her own, but also does the voice of both Pinkie Pie and Spike, was actually interested in participating in the project, but she had personal matters to attend to. Now I rest my case. Bye.